Hey there, friends. Meteorologist Shane Smith here with you. It is Saturday, February 13th, 2021, day before Valentine's Day, and we're here talking about the chance of a major winter storm for all of Kentucky on President's Day coming up on Monday, February 15th. So let's get right to it and take a look at the current setup. You can see area of low pressure off the East Coast. That's what brought us the wintry weather a few days ago. It's moving out, but you can see across the desert southwest, more systems just riding in along the edge of that Arctic high pressure, which is currently over the nation's heartland. We've been talking about this super cold air over the Great Plains the last couple of days, and we are on that dividing line between the cold and the mild. So we're continuing to be on the storm track. And as these storms come down and around the bend, they're going to intensify and move into our area, pick up some moisture off the Gulf of Mexico. And when you have a wet storm like that coming into the cold air that's already in place, that can spell trouble for the Commonwealth. Winter storm watch now out for the entire state. I'm going to be very surprised if by tomorrow morning that's not upgraded to an ice storm warning for Eastern Kentucky and a winter storm warning for the rest of the state. Let's show you why. Here's a look at the European forecast model, and you can see early Monday morning that winter storm rolls in. Notice across Eastern Kentucky, mainly dealing with freezing rain. Central, Western, and Northern Kentucky, mainly snow. The Bluegrass and just south of Lexington and I-64, a little bit of ice showing up for y'all, but that should be more snow than ice this go around. Where last time you guys had mainly ice, that ice line is coming further down to the southeast, and where here in southeastern Kentucky we didn't have horrible icing compared to what y'all saw. Looks like we're going to get hit with the worst of the icing right now. Still a lot of questions about how exactly this storm system is going to play out. Just as we saw with this last storm, a few miles can make a ton of difference in the weather you see in your backyard. And this is no exception. This is going to be a very powerful storm. It has a lot of moisture with it. And the difference between this and the last storm is the cold air is already in place. In fact, I'm looking outside my patio right now, just off to my left. There's still icicles hanging from the patio and from the trees. So there is still a lot of cold air in place from this last storm. And that's going to drive everything further southeast than what we saw last time. So let's take a look. This is the European forecast model's ice forecast. Not quite as bad as it was earlier, but still showing a significant ice storm for portions of eastern Kentucky from Laurel County down into McCreary, Wayne County, all the way over to the Virginia and West Virginia border through the Big Sandy Valley. That model showing anywhere from a tenth to a half inch of ice, some isolated higher spots than that. And then as far as the snow goes, hello, snow. How about a foot from Cincinnati to Louisville down towards Jackson, Tennessee? Somebody in that area is going to get smacked with the snow if this model is right. And this isn't even the most aggressive model. The new run of the GFS, or the new version of the GFS, I should say, earlier was going even higher than this. I think it may be a little bit overdone, but I just want to put that out there. This is not even the highest end snow threat out there. Some of the other models placing things a little bit different, and we've talked about that before. Each model kind of figures out how the atmosphere is working a little bit differently, sees things a little bit differently. This is the old version of the GFS, the late morning run of it, or excuse me, the early afternoon run. This was the, or no, it was the early morning run. And you can see more ice than what the name was showing. Half inch Somerset, a little bit more Pikeville. Some spots in eastern Kentucky going 3/4 of an inch. We do not want that. Nope, don't want no part of that at all. If we get that, that is significant power outages. And oh, yeah, on top of that, half inch of snow for most of the Commonwealth, 8 to 10 inches, northern Kentucky from Lexington up to Covington. A little bit less in far western Kentucky, according to this model run. So that's what the GFS is saying. Let's go to the old version of the NAM. This is the 12Z run of it, and you can see it was putting significant icing a little bit farther north and west then the GFS and Euro, and then the snow heaviest from Lexington up to Cincinnati, back over towards Louisville, Owensboro, Evansville, Paducah, with about a half a foot of snow. That is a pretty significant hit, even on the low end from what these models are showing. But notice different placements between that snow and ice line. So here is my forecast right now. This will change tomorrow as we get that final update in. I'll probably put one out tomorrow evening about 6, 7 p.m. Before everything moves in. But right now, for far southeastern Kentucky, I'm saying it's going to be less than an inch of snow. We're talking a quarter to a half inch of ice plus. It just depends on where everything lines out. I think the worst of the icing is going to be somewhere between right around Prestonsburg through Salyersville, back down into Hazard, down towards Harlan, Whitesburg, Middlesboro, Barberville, Pineville. I think that's where the worst of the icing is going to be. This lighter shade of purple is kind of the big question mark zone. Where does the line cut off between who gets heavy snow and who gets more ice? I think it's going to be somewhere in that area, but because of that, it makes it really hard to forecast how much of what type of precipitation you're going to see. If there is more ice, there's going to be less snow. If there's less snow, there's going to be more ice. So, or basically, you're going to get more of one than the other. And with the snow, I think the farther north you are, you're going to have that better chance of getting up closer to 4 inches. Say from Lawrence County over towards West Liberty, back over towards Mount Vernon, Somerset, Science Hill. You're probably on that higher end of that. Then the farther south, probably on that lower end, because I think we'll see more ice. But once again, still some questions on where that's going to set up. This area in the purple is my least confident area right now. And hopefully we'll get some more agreement between the models and can fine tune where that transition zone is going to set up. The blue, most of the state, 4 to 8 inches of snow with less than a tenth of an inch of ice. I would say the majority of the Commonwealth is going to pick up at least 4 inches of snow out of this storm, which is not something that happens too often to get all of Kentucky, or not all of Kentucky, but more than 2/3 of Kentucky in with 4 inches. That's a big snow around here. And then far northern Kentucky, back over towards Louisville, back down towards Evansville, Indiana, Owensboro, Kentucky. I'm calling 6 to 10 inches. And there may be locally higher amounts than that. Once again, this will change, this will shift. We'll see how the pattern evolves, but that is my best forecast as of right now. So let's talk how that's going to impact things. Well, all across the state, even if you get at least 4 to 6 inches of snow, and especially areas that get 6 inches plus, that's going to cause power outages and major travel issues. In fact, very, very high impact to travel across the entire state. Then out in eastern Kentucky, where we may be talking a half inch of ice, same deal, power outages and major travel issues. So I'm calling for high impact for power outages across the entirety of the state, especially down in eastern Kentucky and up in northern Kentucky, where that snow may be the heaviest. And then travel across the state just going to suck on Monday. It's not going to be good. And then snow and ice impacts high on both levels. It just depends on where you're at. So here's how it all breaks down. That winter storm moves in late Sunday evening, early Monday morning. I'm expecting 2 waves of precipitation. One, early Monday morning, we'll see a little bit of a lull in the action. And then I think Monday evenings when the heart of this storm kicks in and it just dumps on us. For my friends from Lexington north to Covington, back west to Louisville, down towards Bowling Green, and west of there. That's where I think the heaviest of the axis of snow sits up, somewhere in that area. For southeastern Kentucky, I think we got a significant ice storm heading our way. Where those boundaries set up, still a lot of questions, but either way, big impact storm with travel and power issues. We talked about how to prepare last week. Make sure to have a couple of days of food, alternative heat source, battery banks powered up, phones fully charged, and just be ready to deal with it, folks, because once again, it looks like somebody in the Commonwealth's going to get slammed. And then, oh, yeah, we got another storm potentially next Thursday. We're not going to talk about that one today. Let's get through this first one. Then we'll talk about that second one. But just know in the back of your mind, we got two major or potential major winter storms to deal with for this coming week. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Valentine's Day tomorrow. We'll have another update coming out tomorrow evening, late in the day, probably after around 6 o'clock. And get ready, friends. It is on the way. Until then, take care, and we'll see you next time.